And welcome back, everybody. It's Nick, Para, or Paradox, whatever you like to call me. And in today's episode, we have our second installment, and I'm really excited to bring on my, new guest that you guys have probably never heard of or maybe interacted with, Callie. We'll get into her a little bit, but just to give you a quick rundown, what we'll be talking about today. We'll be talking about Callie, her background, kind of how her and I have met and worked with each other over the years. Also, we're talking a lot about involvement and getting yourself kind of out of your comfort zone a little bit and getting involved in maybe committees on campus or anything really that you're passionate about. But first, let's learn a bit more about Callie. Callie, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I am Callie. As of now, I use she, her pronouns. Who knows in the future?
Mm-hmm.
I am a senior, Madison. That's how I know Nick. And I'm graduating in 2 weeks with degrees in, I know, super, super exciting, with degrees in math and community and nonprofit leadership. And yeah, I'm just really passionate about connecting with people. And I think that this year I've really come to fruition with that, in terms of the opportunities I've had and things like that. Yeah, connecting with people. I really am passionate about education and students in general and student advancement. Yeah, involved with some things across campus, but we'll get into that. I'm
Oh,
originally
we'll get
from
into it.
Reading. Yeah, I'm originally from Reading, Minnesota. It's a small town on the Mississippi. Um, have a really great family that I love and that support me and I support as well. Um, yeah, I really like pineapple.
Nice.
That's
Like
the
the
closing
fruit.
of my intro
Yeah,
right there. Pineapple.
yeah. Cut it,
Good
done,
stuff.
wrap it. It's done. It's a wrap. But yeah, no, pineapple. Yeah, no, fruit is amazing. Fruit, 10 out of 10. Would
It really
love fruit.
is. It hits the spot so well. Love.
It does. It does. As you said, you grew up on a small town in the Minnesota or anything like that. But growing up, did anything kind of stand out to you, maybe that kind of led to more involvement or stuff that you're interested in now? Anything kind of translate a little bit into your passions?
Yeah, that's actually really interesting because that exactly is what happened. The reason why I think I do what I do today is because of what happened my senior year of high school, more specifically. I always had interest in math. I always had interest in student organizations and clubs in my high school. Um, as many, I think, small town kids know and feel it, like it's always the same, like 10 kids in every single organization, and in all the same classes as well. And my senior year, actually, I recognized that there was recognition for kids in sports, and I was in sports. I loved soccer, really, really
Hmm.
enjoyed that, and I enjoyed the recognition for it as well. So there was like ceremonies and things like that, and awards for all these students in sports, but there was nothing for student organizations and clubs, and I was like, that seems a little janky. That's not cool.
Yeah.
And so my senior year, I worked with a local nonprofit, Every Hand Joined, and specifically one individual, to kind of forge the way and develop an award ceremony an award ceremony for students that were in organizations across the school. And so
Mm-hmm.
through that, had a lot of appreciation for the diverse opportunities that the school offered that I wasn't actually aware of, and the community support. The school wasn't as supportive, but the community, it was so amazing. And I'd never experienced anything like it, even though I'm from a small town. But yeah, so because of that, I think is the reason why I'm so interested in like student support and community engagement as a whole. And it really showed me the importance and the emphasis that people can have within communities and student organizations as well. Yeah, so actually, like, a really specific example, but that exactly what happened. So,
Well, thank you for sharing. I think that's a really impressive thing to actually see that connection. I think that there's a lot of things that we see happen in our present day life and in the future that we don't really realize, might have uh, been in the works a little bit in our past. So I
definitely.
think it's really impressive that you're able to bring those events up. And, so detailed too. I was, my memory is kind of shot. I'm gonna be honest. There's some parts that I just don't remember, but that's impressive, and I'm really happy to hear that that's kind of translated more into your involvement and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so, talking about your involvement and getting into that a little bit, what was the first, committee or club or anything that you got really involved with on campus when you got here?
Honestly, I think it was student leadership program. I really do.
Ooh,
So I actually no, I take that back. I totally take that back. The
okay.
first thing I
It is erased from the records. Don't worry.
the first thing was actually I think it like I don't know if I would count this. I would. Was I think it was like Badger Buddies, or yeah, Badger Buddies. And you go early. You get to move in early, and you get to help people move
Ooh,
in,
yes. Yep, yep,
and
yep.
it's just like a volunteer thing. And I remember thinking, like, I actually made this commitment to myself. I don't know how well I've done with like fulfilling it, but it definitely doesn't have any boundaries when you hear this.
Mm,
I was like, I'm going to take advantage of every opportunity that I can. And it
mm.
started with that, the Badger Buddy thing, and moving people in and like meeting people day one right away. Um, yeah, lacks boundaries in theory. But freshman year
I'm about to
was
say,
really awesome. So
yeah, Caesar was ambitious too, and I respected
yeah.
it. So,
But yeah, so I was able to meet like a ton of people. I don't talk to most of them anymore, but you got to live out that freshman mentality. Got to get some free food.
hmm
So
hmm
yeah, that definitely was I think my first, which led to I think I was in Woody Hall. I think it's called Who. Like an out like, who Woody
yeah,
Hall
yep, yep.
organization because of that. So that was fun too. So I would say that. I would say good old Witty, moving people in. Yeah. Good
Okay,
stuff.
nice. I like that. And I think you definitely should lead off with that, and that should be your first introduction. Because that is like that's before even school started, right? That
I
is
know.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, you were already on the ball. You're already on top of it, moving and grooving. So I respect that.
Here's the thing though. As soon as classes started, I was like, wow, that was a really bad goal to set because I'm dying. Yeah.
I
So
better say you probably went to the org fair, and you're like, well then,
yeah,
I could take
actually
classes, or I
though.
can, yeah.
Just
So,
do
y-
orgs. Yeah, actually
yeah,
though.
yeah.
I have a really fun story about org fair. If you don't mind me telling
Please
it.
share. No, please share.
Um, so Nick and I obviously know each other from leadership program. And when I went to the org fair, my first semester freshman year, as we all know,
Mm,
Cole Center, humongous. People are like trying to lure you in with food and candy and whatever they can do, right? And I go with my friend, and we're walking around, having a good time. Didn't really look at the map, just kind of walking. And
mhm,
we
mhm.
were just about to leave. And who the last organization I talked to was student leadership program.
Right,
And we were
right.
just about to leave as well. We were like heading out, ready to go to the doors.
Yeah,
And
especially for those that may not know the Cole Center, it is a giant 2 floor.
it is insane.
You do your laps and everything like
Yeah,
that. So it is a giant place. So when you're about to go, you usually are about to walk out that door. But as you said,
exactly.
so
Yeah.
SLP caught your eye maybe a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, well, so Kyle, who is in SLP, who I
Right.
have now known for 4+ years, was like, "Hey, you!" Like pointed me out, was like, "Hey, you! Like come on over. Like, do you like free pizza?" And I was like, "Yes, I do, sir. You are right." Um, and he was actually the one to recruit me into SLP, and it was because of the free Ian's pizza. I love
Right.
leadership. Don't get me wrong. I truly did. That pizza though was the hook. And I
Right.
look
Right.
back at pictures that they posted on socials and things like that of my first semester in SLP. And at the kickoff, my freshman year, still had brown hair, the side part, like everything did not know. It was just a bad time. But
Right.
there's a picture of me digging in to the mac and cheese pizza, like boxes of mac and cheese pizza, and I'm just digging in.
Right.
And I thank Kyle for that. Thank you, Kyle, for that free meal, and thank you for 4 amazing years in SLP.
Right.
Um,
Right.
yeah, I thought that was so fun. That was amazing.
Yeah, no, that's impressive. When I remember, I think the biggest thing, the way I got introduced to SLP was, so I was, I think I might have told you this, and as some people know, I was class president in my senior year of high school. And I was like, man, I like leadership. I want to keep doing something like that in college. And so I was like, where does this really fit? Where does this land? I was like, well, the student leadership program sounds like a pretty solid start, right? And so I remember talking to
Yeah.
Barb, if you remember her. I interacted with her, and I was
I
like,
love
yo,
Barb.
yeah, no, she's
Oh,
awesome. She's awesome. But
she's
I interacted
amazing.
with her, and she was like, yeah, just do this. And I was like, cool. Oh, cool, I'll do that. So sadly, I didn't have the direct interaction with someone and digging into the Ian's pizza or anything like that. But I'm glad that that's a fond memory, to say the least.
So when did you end up joining? I don't remember. Did
So
you
I
join
joined
right off the bat, or did you join?
Mhm. I joined off right off the bat freshman year, fall semester. That's right when I joined,
Oh
and
my
I've
god. Okay.
been in since then. So
I didn't know
well,
that. Dang,
yeah,
we were so aligned.
yeah. Well,
Liv loves
I know,
Barb. She
yeah,
oh, missing from it, but still there.
yeah. No, she's awesome. But yeah, I mean, as you know, I think something also that I was always excited to bring you onto the podcast. I feel like you and I have a lot in common and a lot of similarities along our path
We
with SLP and
do.
just in college. And so I just thought it'd be really interesting to see all those correlations, to say the least. Because you remember during the interview
I'm a
process, so
Oh
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's a good.
yeah.
I love that.
We we
That's
we,
funny.
we can get into that
Uh,
later. But what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say I'm a true believer in like the 6 degrees of separation and how everyone is connected in this world. And I fully believe, Nick, that there is probably in that realm, there are so many other ways that we're connected. We just haven't made those connections yet. And
Yep.
I just really want to get to the root of them all. Like I feel like we are long lost cousins or something. You know,
Right,
it just
for
makes
sure.
sense.
No, it does. It does. So totally does. And so, like you said, SLP, student leadership, Ian's Pizza, that was their first interaction or anything like that. So was this, would you say, kind of like your first, maybe like, I wouldn't say legit, but kind of professional involvement on campus, right? And you kind of ran with that a little bit, or did you dip your hands in anything else in a similar way?
No, I think that definitely was like. I mean, SLP is really structured and has a huge support system. And so, unlike any other organization or other involvement, like it's just its own thing. And so
Mm,
you're kind of drawn to that in general. You're like, oh, structure, like there's something to follow here. And I'm a structured person. And
mm,
so, yeah, I think it definitely was the first thing. I think the next thing came along, like the next, like similar in style, um, was homecoming. And that wasn't until that next December. So I think
right.
for that first semester, I think it was just SOP all the way. And
Hmm.
then the struggle bus of freshman year.
Right.
So yeah, definitely. How about you?
Nice. Nice. I think so. I started with SLP, and I also did a engineering student org. It was called Insight Wisconsin.
Oh,
Still
cool.
surviving. Yeah,
Nice.
and so it was a project development team and all that stuff. So it was just a lot of hands-on experience, which I really liked. And
Amazing.
I carried that through all the way to the end of sophomore year, and then, as you know, L COVID came around the corner and stopped a lot of things. We'll probably get into that a little bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Major gunshots there, but
Yeah.
a lot of things were shot down. So, but
Yeah.
again, SLP is probably the biggest thing that I've stuck with. I think only time I ever was not like fully involved was that sophomore spring semester, and I think as a lot of people, I wasn't really
First
feeling
time.
burnout, but it was a crazy ass time, and so I was just like, I need to step away. Obviously, I
You
still
got
went to
other things to worry
ACLC.
about.
Yeah, ACLC I always
Yeah.
go to. Yeah, always a good time for those that don't know, because I know this is actually Callie's the first I would say Madison guest that I have, because everyone else has always been from
Really?
Little Rock or Atlanta, and so again, and, a very honored
Ooh.
guest, and so for the
Okay.
people in Little
Nice.
Rock or Atlanta and other listening, ACLC is a giant leadership conference that SLP puts on every single year, and it is just stellar. They bring along all these amazing speakers to hold workshops, and they have an overall keynote speaker who have always been amazing. And especially like my favorite one, even the one that I was not really involved, was the Bellamy Jr., right? And so
Yes.
he's,
Yes.
yeah, he was awesome. He was awesome. He was
Fire.
great.
Absolute
But
fire.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. And so, they always put on amazing events through SLP, which I think is, like you said, it kind of caters to that professional structure, which I think is really, really nice.
Exactly. Yep. And it lures you in just because it's such great content too.
Right. Yeah. No, it's just, it, you're going to get something out of it no matter what. Right. I mean, of course you got to put effort into it, but you're just going to learn so much, absorb so much. And also, you want to talk a little bit about maybe like your ELP experience. For those that don't know,
Oh,
ELP was the first instance, it's the first taste of SLP that you get. And it's just emerging leaders program. So it's taught by other students and everything. But please, Callie, what was your first experience with that? Where you're like, wow, this is cool, or a little whack, maybe? Thoughts?
yeah. No, so ELP stands for, yeah, Emerging Leaders Program. And so I did that for my first semester, as is every new member. And I remember I didn't go to consistently, I think Monday or Tuesday or something was up. I remember
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a sorority, so like that was happening on
Right.
Monday. So I think I always went to Tuesdays. It was such a big battle, like Mondays
Yep.
or Tuesdays, which one's better?
Right.
Um,
Right.
I vividly remember really loving the teachers and apprentices who lead the workshops, and I feel like that's a consistency. Like everyone's like, oh, like they are all so fun. Like it's your first like taste of like upperclassmen in some capacity.
Right.
They're like they're
Of
so
course.
cool, and I vividly remember that. And I also really remember how like my color orange was so
Mm-hmm.
reflected that whole semester. Now I'm not orange
Mm-hmm.
at all, and orange means like you're outgoing, you're kind of the leader of the pack type of thing. You take the automatic leadership position when you're talking in groups. Now
Right.
I'm
Right.
less so that, but at the time I was so like competitive and like just the definition of orange. And
Right.
it went well to like all the activities, and I loved them all. Even the puzzle one, that one, the
Oh
competition.
yes.
Yes, blood was shed. People were getting so competitive, including
Right.
myself. I loved it. And I remember at banquet or at ELP banquet, we did the like tap someone activity. So like people
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
stand up and they tap someone that they want to be friends with or tap someone they want to connect with outside of ELP, things like that that make you feel good. And I remember thinking, I was like, oh, this girl named Gabby, Gabrielle Nelson. I was like, she is so cool. I want to be her friend. And really, I was like, oh, and like someone tapped me to be their friend, and she was standing up. I was like, oh, I really hope that was Gabby. Like, she's just so
Right.
cool. Um,
Right.
and the funniest thing was like, a couple weeks later, we were all hanging out, and I was like, that was so like, I love when that happens, when like you have a want to like hang out with someone, but you don't know how to do it, and it worked out. It
Mm-hmm.
was amazing. But yeah, so I loved being a student in ELP, and then afterwards was able to apply for ELP apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
Got that for my second semester of freshman year, and then moved on up to the chair position or the teacher position that next semester. So I got to spend
Yep.
a year and a half in ELP. That was a vibe.
Yep.
Nick, you could attest to that as well. Like, how was your experience? I know I got
Yes.
to interview you, and the whole time was just amazing.
I'm about to say, yeah, no, it's so. I think it is also a very interesting thing. Callie and I, we've worked very closely together. But also, you've been my boss and interview me
Yeah,
almost every single time. Eh,
that's
you
amazing.
interviewed me for ELP. You interviewed me for the other big position. You interviewed me. I'm pretty sure you looked at my application for the
I
committee
did
for Badger Pro. So it's just like, yeah, you've been my
everything. That's amazing. Wow. And I will
yeah,
say, when I think back to that, all three of those, I really remember your ELP one. Because I remember
yep,
it was a group, it was a vibe who was interviewing you.
yeah.
I
It
must
was
say,
yeah.
it was me,
I remember it was yep,
Nate, Tony,
Alex.
and Tommy.
Oh, Tommy, yeah, Tommy. Yep,
Tommy was there. Tommy's so funny. So that group
yeah,
was so fun. Oh, that was
yep.
you got a
They're
good group.
great. I know. I was very blessed, and also you guys. I think you had like a snack on the table too, and you're just casually eating. And so I walk in. I was like, got it.
That is
Oh
so funny.
God.
Well, you and Tommy connected about, you're working out and like not knowing if you saw each other at the gym, and you were
Yep.
like, couldn't tell if it was each other or someone else. I
Yep.
love that.
It, Yeah, no, it was a good time. And yeah, no. So, as for those that know, yes, Callie has literally interviewed me almost every single time for a position, which is I'm honored. I think she does a great job interviewing. But yeah, and also you were my teacher for ELP.
I know.
So,
Awesome.
and I went to, I'm pretty sure, were you Tuesdays or Mondays? I think it was Tuesday, right? If I remember
Tuesdays.
correctly.
Yep,
Yep.
Tuesdays.
I went to Tuesdays because it was you, Alex, Olivia, and
Alex.
then Casey. Yeah, Casey. Yeah. So yeah,
Nice.
and then I
That's
remember
awesome.
that I still remember that one fucking time you guys switched name tags and I got it wrong, and I was like, son of a. So yeah,
I totally forgot about that. That was amazing.
yeah,
Wow.
no. Again, I have a pretty shot memory, but I remember very, very minute details just because I don't know. That's how my brain
That's
works. But
amazing.
yeah, no,
No,
I
I
think you
feel
did a
that too.
yeah. You did a great job
Oh,
as an
good.
ELP teacher. I was very, very, very honored and very, blessed to have that because I
You did
just,
a great job
you
too.
made a really good impact. And it was just that this is how you have fun outside of classes. This is how you learn outside of classes, right? And it's not just come in here and 9 to 5 job and do work, right? And so that was really flat and that was just really nice to say the least. And, you were really good at making sure people have that energy, but also you weren't like overbearing and be like, you need to do this, you need to do this. You were it was a healthy amount to say the least. And so
You are
I,
making my day, Nick. Wow, just flattered.
I try my
Coming to this
best.
space and he's just throwing compliments, and I just don't know
It's,
how to take them. So I'm like, ugh. But I do
no
appreciate
worries.
that. You're amazing.
Yeah,
So thank you.
and I do mean it. Of course, I've been wanting to tell you this, but every time you just fucking interview me, and it's just like I can't tell you this. So, but
I love that. Yeah, you can't
yeah,
give me too many compliments in interviews, or else I know, like I'm like I know what he's up to.
yeah,
He's
like
trying to like
this
get
this
get some
motherfucker's trying
market.
to pull out a butter stick or
Try
something. They're
me.
doing something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
that. That's funny.
yeah.
Did you
But
did
yeah,
you
no.
ever experience ELP with there was a time in ELP and SLP when it was such a thing to like hang out after hours?
Yep.
Were you ever able to experience that?
I was invited to it a lot of the times, but also, as you know, I'm a very big introvert, as
Mm,
a lot of, which
yeah.
is hilarious because, a lot of people in Little Rock and Atlanta know me as an introvert, but then everyone in Madison has seen me as mainly as an extrovert, which I think is
Yes. Same.
hilarious.
Same. We are the
Yep.
same. Okay. Yep. I
Yes.
feel that.
Yeah. And so
It, it
I,
is.
so I,
It was. It's intimidating.
yeah, and so yeah, I never did go to those. Of course, I was invited. I was like, man, I probably should have, right? But it's the what is. There's multiple nights. I remember this. It was a good time. If you remember Alex, as I mentioned, there's multiple nights. He worked at the
Yeah.
Jope and the dining there, and so him and I would always walk back after every session together. So that was a good time.
That's amazing. Oh, that's really good. Oh, I'm glad. He's so funny. And
Yeah.
that's like I think back I think the biggest reason why I stayed in SLP and ELP in general was because of those like after hour connections. Might be just like
Hmm.
the Alex thing and like having a buddy or a friendly face. And also like I have so many funny memories from after hours night things. We should do them before we all graduate, Nick. Okay,
Yes, we
you
should.
can't pull an introvert because I know the
Uh,
feeling. I know it. You're gonna
it is
feel
on the
okay.
feed now. It's
I
out
will.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's out there. Commitment. But the best thing was like you would sit around and play Presidents and Assholes, the card game, drinking
Yep.
card game, and the amount of broken chairs from that game. I don't know how the amount of broken chairs. I remember one time we played for 8 hours straight, like insane stuff. And like the funniest of memories, like one guy named James, his apartment that we'd always play in, he graduated, and then Josh moved into that exact same apartment, that exact same bedroom that
Oh,
James lived
nice.
in. And we would go back to that same apartment and play the same game. And it was such a great vibe. We need to do that again.
Of course. We
Love
just need to
that.
find the apartment now, right? But
Exactly. I mean, I live alone, so like it's just a vibe here. So vaccinated, we're all good. It's gonna
yep,
gonna happen.
for sure. And yes, it is on tape. So yes, I will go. I promise.
Yeah.
Scout's honor.
I
But
love that. Yay.
Yeah.
That's
And
amazing.
so, but yeah, my ELP experience was fantastic. And again, as you mentioned, I was able to go on to do the same thing of being, I did 3 semesters of ELP back to back to back, right? Yeah. Being in it, be a
Awesome.
member, an apprentice, and then a teacher, right? So, yeah, it
That's
was a
awesome. Yeah.
stellar experience and something that I cherish. I think it was a really good way of getting involved in SLP, but also meeting people. And as we talked about involvement, and did you feel like over time in SLP you just got more involved, or do you think you're just making maybe more of an impact, or maybe all the above? How did that involvement feel? Did it feel like evolution, maybe a little bit?
Yeah, I would say like I think it just was an adjustment. I think the involvement was changing. So with ELP, I think you're super connected to everyone that has been an ELP teacher and apprentice. Like that's just a group of friends. And so
Yep.
you have this like really big network in that way. And also you're connecting with so many new people that are on campus. And so like that impact is there and you see it every day.
Hmm.
And you
Hmm.
see it once or twice a week. Um, and then as I moved into Bucky Award ceremony, and that as apprentice chair position for a year, it was an adjustment. I think you move from impacting these freshmen and new members and transitioning into like campus wide connections,
Yeah.
which is something that I've actually been thinking about a lot. Like as a teacher, I hope to be a teacher one day, and like I would love to connect with students one on one. But I also love the idea of being an administrator to connect with on like big level things.
Hmm.
Same with like Bucky's and ELP. That's kind of like those two interests, and so you feel a disconnect between like one-on-one combos and like one-on-one impact, but at the
Right.
same time you know that like okay 200 300 people come, that's 200 300 people that applied and like are here to celebrate themselves, so I just think it was an
Right.
adjustment. And then went abroad, came back, coordinator position. I think it's kind of the same as Bucky's because I do make some one-on-one connections, but
Right.
without the
Right.
physicality of it all, it's hard to connect one on one with people because there's no small group that you're leading. You're leading a group of 100
Right.
plus people. Um,
Right.
so people might know you, but you don't know a lot about them, and that's a little too
Hmm.
bad. But I just think it's kind of this idea of like servant leadership.
Right.
You're serving the organization so that other people can have a great time. I think that's kind of
Hmm.
what it's transformed into. ELP was very much the leadership was also helping me, like
Right.
the leadership
For
service I
sure.
was giving someone else was also helping myself. Whereas now it's a lot more of how do I support other people's growth and other people's learning,
Right.
which is a hard thing to have to do, but it's a really good
Of
skill as
course.
well.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. It's a really good skill. When you feel when you're helping people and you sit to see them change a little bit, maybe with your committee heads and chairs and stuff like that. Do you feel like you're also changing with them a little bit? Would you say, or do you
Yeah.
feel like you've just adjust as you said?
Yeah. That's actually really interesting to reflect on too. Like I have, as of right now, I have 4 chairs that I work with. And honestly, we've just become more of a team. It's a lot less of like me giving them my service. It's more of like how
Hmm.
can we all work together, which I actually really appreciate. And that in and of itself, I think, is its own type of experience. If that
Hmm.
makes any sense, like
Of
you're
course.
not acting like you're this leader of 100 people. You're just three of you guys, 2 groups of 3, working through some issues and like getting stuff prepared. Um,
Right.
so I think in that capacity, it's a little bit less about leadership development and kind of teaching them that servant leadership and that style of leadership will best support their committee. Um,
For sure.
but I know like Helen, for example, she's also in student leadership program. Uh, she's really good at this. She has such a great transformational leadership style, and basically that means like she's really motivating and really like growth mindset. And so when she leads her committees, example, she like helps the teachers for ELP. They always talk about how can they as individuals grow, and I think that's
Hmm.
something that I wish I would have done a little bit more. um, and she does a really good job at that, so I think, yeah, I don't know.
Gotcha.
What's your perspective? And what are you hoping to look forward to, Mr.
Oh, oh.
Future Coordinator?
Oh, yes, yes. Now you bring it up. No
Ah,
worries. Yes. As as I mentioned in the interview, it's very similar in you, ironic, that I was able to make the meaningful impacts with people, right, with
Yeah,
ELP, and moving forward with that. But getting to that core position, I see it, of course, as you're still able to make a meaningful impact, but it's widespread, right? Like
yep.
it is, as you said, hundreds of people. And like that to me, that gets me hyped. That gets me antsy.
Oh,
That's like,
good.
let's get going, you know?
Yay.
And so,
That's so exciting.
and yeah, and so that's how I've always looked at it. But, talking about those individual experiences, trying to help people lead, but also feeling it changing a little bit, I feel like you change slightly, but not too much. I feel like you add, if that makes sense. In a way, is
Yeah,
like
definitely.
there's a really really nice picture that I've always seen, is that there's a person, two people are standing by, for audio listeners, two people are standing by each other, and one is taking a piece of like a puzzle piece off of them and handing it to the other person to help fit their puzzle piece, if that makes sense. And so the person is just missing
Oh,
puzzle
yeah.
pieces, and so one person takes that puzzle piece off of them to help them, so you're building them up, but you might be losing something a little bit, but you're still have everything there. And so that's my mindset when it comes to that, that you're taking a puzzle piece off of you to help them build up
Yeah,
themselves up, but you're still keeping yourself the same amount. It's just that you have to find that
yeah.
healthy balance of
No, I
not
like that.
tearing pieces off of you, metaphorically tearing pieces off of you, puzzle pieces off of you, and giving them to everyone, because then you have nothing left, and that's
Yeah.
where the deterioration begins.
I'm
So,
really, really excited for you to have new member meetings because that's something that I think you'll just you're gonna take it and run. Like I think that's something that you're gonna love. And you'll probably, as I always get, I get like very social burnout, and you'll probably get that. But I think,
oh, for sure, it's
yeah,
going to happen.
yeah, you probably have to like reboot yourself like between meetings. But still,
Hmm.
learning about these new members and then seeing them grow. Like, can you imagine?
Hmm.
Do you remember who did your new member meeting when you were a freshman?
Oh, it was Tommy.
Okay, so imagine Tommy thinking, like, okay, here's Nick. I'm going to have my new member meeting. Okay, next semester, wow, he's already, like, this end of the semester, he's applying for a position. Wow.
Right.
Like, that
Right.
growth, crazy, literally in a semester.
Hmm.
Now, he'll probably get the news that like your coordinator, actually his
Hmm.
position, like
Yep.
he'll get the news and he'll be like, "Wow, I did that new member meeting. How
Right.
cool!" And I think you're someone that will really fixate on that, and like it'll make you feel this sense of pride, like we like together we were able to do that.
For sure.
And so
Hmm.
I'm excited for you to kind of see that unfold a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited too about it, and you're totally right. And it's also interesting too, because I feel it kind of in the reverse. Like I saw on like LinkedIn or something like that, that Tommy's looking to apply to med school, and I'm like, that's the guy who interviewed me. Like he is going to med
Yeah,
school, right? And it's
that's
like
so cool.
and that's sick. And also, same thing with like Pete, if you remember him. I interacted with
Oh
him
yeah,
a lot because he was Lead Pete, as we called him,
yeah,
and he overlooked ELP all the time, and it's just like I was interacting with him constantly, and then seeing Pete do great things and still interacting with him, that's always a great feeling too. Like,
definitely.
I think probably Helen told you about this, but he took Helen, um, Owen, Ellie, and I out to like a dumpling place one time, and it was literally 10 out of 10, best time
Oh,
ever. A little rainy outside, but late at night, 10 out, just a nice little dumpling place all by
that is
ourselves, just chilling.
so cute.
I know
Uh,
it was great.
I have so many Pete stories. I have so many Pete stories. Like
Yeah,
they, I don't know if I'll share them now, but if I don't, I will have to send you. There's videos. It's just it goes with the SLP After Hours vibe. It is the
right.
funniest. Like it involves Carolina Reapers, drinking out of a
Yep,
sriracha bottle at a restaurant, like
yep,
all the necessities for a great night. Like
yes,
good, great stuff. Shirts
yeah,
always come off, and beer pong is always won, and it's just a
right.
great time.
Yep, yeah.
Pete, good guy.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. Going back a little
Yeah,
bit with involvement and everything like that. How would you,
yeah,
obviously you've helped a lot of people with their involvement, but how did you help yourself a little bit? Was there ever a time that you kind of maybe faltered a little bit or were a little hesitant? How did you deal with that? And like, should I really extend this much or involve yourself this much? Did you ever struggle with that a little bit?
yeah. Yeah, I think I struggled with that my entire college career, honestly. With that
Whoa.
mentality of like take advantage of every opportunity.
Right.
With that mentality, I think like I set myself up for like not supporting myself enough, which is normal. I think I was just really ambitious, and I still am.
Hmm.
Um,
Of course.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, no, no. I was just saying, of course. Like, I
Oh,
think
oh, okay, cool.
I've always appreciated ambition in people. I think ambition is a very good thing, in my opinion.
Yes,
So,
I agree too. I think I still am working on like finding that balance and like finding time for myself and like kind of working through that. I think this year as well, more this year more specifically than any other time, I've been really self aware, and
hmm,
even if I am like overworking myself or not giving myself enough time, I'm aware of that. Whereas before I was like, go, go, go. This is the life, right?
hmm,
Um, so now I recognize like as an introvert, I need to live alone. I want my own space. I need my own space. And I'm going to choose to do things for myself. I do still not overbook myself, but I just give myself a lot of obligations,
hmm.
a little too many. But that's something, at least for me, and I don't know if you resonate with this, but if I don't have enough going on, I will procrastinate. Does that
Yep.
make sense? So like if I know I have a busy
Amen.
day, I know I'll have to get my homework done in an hour. There's no time to procrastinate because I have something in this next hour that I have to go to.
Hmm.
I have an obligation to go to it. Um, and I think that motivates me. So I think that honestly is a really good mindset change. And also, we talk about this in SLP, like mindset and like how you're changing your mindset.
Right. Right.
And I think that also comes from like self worth. I know this my whole college career. I look back at myself freshman year, and like I thought I was this orange personality, really ambitious, really competitive, that's like really in your face. And now I'm thinking like that probably rooted from like insecurities or just like not having confidence in myself. And now, as
Hmm.
some would say, I have big dick energy. I'm like, I know what I'm worth. I am
Right.
awesome. Like, Callie, you're
Right.
awesome. Stop thinking otherwise. And obviously, I have down days, but that mentality change
Right.
paired with being like self aware of how I'm feeling has really set me up well, even when I'm overbooked. I think it just kind of keeps me going and keeps me positive when I need to be positive.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, I think you put that absolutely beautifully. With the,
Big dick
you
energy.
know,
That was framed
uh,
really beautifully. Thank you, Nick. Yep.
I think it was. When I said that, I was like, "Wow, that sounds like a really solid title for the episode." But
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll have to run it
Let's
through
move on.
production in the back.
Yeah.
Well, AKA, I'll just talk to myself in 2 hours and be like, "Is that a good title or not?" So.
I love that. That's really
But
funny.
no,
But
I
yeah.
definitely resonate with that because it's interesting you bring that up that you live by yourself because I love my roommates to death. They're great people, but I'm also looking to live by myself next year. And it's just kind of a
Yes.
natural
Normalize
thing.
living by yourself. It's the best.
Yep,
It's
yep.
the best.
I'm yep. I'm gonna be living by myself, and of course, I've told people, hey, if you want to come over, if you need a place to crash, I'm totally open. But it's also like I don't have to interact with those people
Yep.
every single day. You know, and so it's funny that you bring that up
Yes.
because that's
You aren't
what I'm
draining your
going to do.
social battery.
Yep. Yep.
Yes, that's
And
amazing. That's my thing is you're never draining your social battery, even through small interactions or small obligations to like talk to your roommates, even if you love them to death.
right.
Whereas you're choosing to like go see them or like, you're making that arrangement. And so like you can be
Right.
on when you need to be on.
Yep. No, yeah, it's like you set the pace. It's your time, right? It's
Yes.
when you're gonna be at your best and everything like that. And like, my roommates, there's been multiple days that I'm being honest, I don't talk to them at all. And it's not because I
Right.
don't want to, but it's just that,
Yeah.
I walk out to
Yeah.
go make food, come back in, I go about my normal day, of course, and then when I leave to go work out for, 5 hours in the mountains, it's just, I I leave for a long time. So yeah,
Yeah.
I totally get that. But I think it's interesting that you can kind of do that self-reflection a little bit, especially, coming towards the end of your senior year, right? And everything like that. It's just, you know, everything. It's very interesting that have that self-reflection. I think it's very powerful that you can have it right now, especially. And I know that our last CCT actually happened, and everyone was saying that and everything like that. But hopefully, this podcast is kind of like my testament and my appreciation to you. I hope you understand that and feel that a little bit. That this is
Oh,
this is
thank you.
this is Callie, right? And everyone should get to know her because fucking awesome. It's sick, and of course, big dick
Ah!
energy, right? So, yeah.
Making me smile. Make me blush.
Well,
I love that.
I
Thank you.
oh, don't worry. I'll edit that out. Don't worry. So
Thank you. Thank you.
of course. So we were talking a lot about involvement, and you mentioned COVID a little bit, and did that affect your involvement in anything, and has that kind of changed your perspective on a lot of stuff? Maybe you want to talk about your experience with that.
Yeah, totally. Right off the bat, I would say my level of burnout, like my tolerance for things, is just way low, and I think it's starting to get more normalized. But I also think like we also need to normalize the fact that friendships will be lost because of it. Like, let's say you don't have the capacity to be involved with XYZ anymore because you're burnt out. Those
Yep.
friendships would be lost. There's a possibility that that'll happen. That's not
Hmm.
cool. Like, what? I don't want to, like, I don't want to drown here. Like, yeah.
Right. For
Um,
sure.
but I will say I'm still some like concrete things that have happened. I'm still involved in my sorority. Like, I technically still pay my dues and whatever, but I'm not involved. Like, it's kind of one flip 180. Like, I was on the exec board and now I'm not. I don't go to anything, and so that like kind of I took that as like a priority moment, which
Hmm.
is too
Hmm.
bad because those people are great, but priorities. Whereas SLP, I kind of had to commit to that because it's a job. I get paid,
Right.
like it's something I have to do, even if I didn't
Yep.
want to, but I do want to, which is great. Um, I also would say, well, so homecoming committee, if you're not aware, there was a huge scandal with that, and so after that happened, that came to a natural end, or it's in a
Hmm.
transition period, but like I'm not involved in it anymore, just because I'm
Hmm.
a senior. So that wasn't honestly because of COVID, which was kind of nice. Um,
Right.
so because I think of those two things, and because of my, actually, I'm going to take a step back and say something else first.
Of course.
So because of all of that, I think my like priorities have changed. What I could be involved in has changed. Things like that, and that paired with, as we all know, so many inequalities and oppressions have been coming to the forefront of the conversations today, which is great. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's really too bad that COVID has like put a lot of inequalities, especially in the education system. Really, it's just heightened that separation. But it's brought a
Hmm.
lot of those things to light, as well as social justice
Right.
issues. And so I think because of that, I just have, and I am by no means perfect or as involved as I think I should be. I think we all can strive to be better. Um, but I think that's also made me realize that there's so many more important things going on in the world. And not
Right.
to like harp on Greek life because I'm in Greek life, but like that is such a toxic system. Not saying that like the people I'm with or
Right.
people I enjoy my company with in that organization are toxic, or that they're not trying to constantly like make that alteration to like not be toxic. um
Hmm.
I do still think it's a toxic system, and so contributing to that is also toxic. And what are we
Right.
contributing to, and things like that. So because of those things, I think what I've been involved in has changed, which is great because actually, with senior class office that came in this last semester, so that's brand spanking
Right.
new, and I love it. It is amazing, such an amazing thing.
Oh, I know you do.
Yes, I love it so much, and I think it's setting me up really well and pairing really well with everything else, and reigniting the burnout. Like I'm burnt out right now. It's reigniting that flame, for me, which is great, as well as this internship I got, which I'm doing. Yeah.
Congratulations.
So thank you. But yeah, so a lot of these things, I think I was burnt out from the things that I've been doing for 4 years. And now I'm like, big picture, like, what do I have to do? What do I want to do? What can I do that's new? And actually, they've been able to allow me to meet new people, which in COVID is so new and not happening.
Of
I
course.
think
Yeah.
that's what ignited my like, wow, this is so exciting. It's all new people, new experiences, new things like that. Whereas old experiences, where I'm in the same routine, it just doesn't seem worth it anymore.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know about you. How about you? Have you been experiencing burnout at all? I didn't even mention classes because I'm not going to
Yeah.
them. Let's be honest. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. How
Yeah.
about you?
No worries. No worries. So I've talked about this a little bit here and there, but I've only experienced burnout and like serious burnout one time, and I can
Okay.
remember it vividly. It was at that sophomore spring semester. That
Yes.
sophomore spring semester was a very very tough time for me, and
Yeah.
so I burnt out completely, and I lost a lot of motivation and everything. And and like I tell other people, my friends, and I think I've probably mentioned to a lot of people in SLP is like, I'm in a very bad spot. If you ever want to check in with me, I'm in a very bad spot if I am not working out. And so I stopped working out for
Mm,
4 weeks.
yep. Definitely.
And
Yeah.
so I didn't
Definitely.
want to do anything, slept for 10 hours every single day, woke up at like 1 p.m., would eat
Yeah.
something, then go back to bed, stuff like that. And I just didn't want to do anything.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, yeah. And so that was definitely a bad experience. And I think that you are correct that COVID actually allowed for a lot of terrible things and a lot of good things to rise to the surface. There's a lot of really
Yep.
good moments because I think people really appreciated the little things, but there's also really a lot of bad moments because people were also looking into the little things, right? So
Yes.
I
Yes.
think,
Definitely.
yeah, it was definitely a very, I wouldn't say tumultuous because tumultuous is a negative connotation, but it was a very, what's the word? Like spinning, I guess you would say, kind of like a typhoon a little bit, where everything was being picked up and you don't know where it was going to be displaced, but now it's being picked up, right?
Yes. Wow.
So,
That's a really good way to think about it. Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you. I try my best. That's why I come up with such good titles. Kidding. But,
Love.
yeah. But so that was something really big for me. And also, my only social interaction during that time was my parents, my friends online with like video games and all that. And then also a very, you know, close friend that, as you said, friendships do come and go, right? And
Yeah.
so that friendship was very critical during that time, but sadly it did go, right? And, I appreciate everything that friendship did for me during that time. But,
Yeah.
when the time was over, it kind of also changed as everything changed.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. That's a good
And
way to think about
so, yeah, yeah. And so again, it was a very volatile time. It's also when I started the podcast,
it. Nice.
I,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
That's
that,
the thing is I
yeah.
think like it forces us to do new things and like because everything is so displaced, you're forced to like approach the world differently. And some
Hmm.
people's approach is like with new skills, new hobbies, new friends, really whatever.
Right.
And I think the podcast is a really great example of that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, and now I'm even more excited because I'm able to bring on great guests like yourself and also future guests too that, I plan on, a lot of, obviously friends from my past and that is, I'm still friends with Little Rock and Little Rock and Atlanta, but I'm looking forward to bringing a lot of Madison people that I know because I think that'll be a really interesting time to say the least.
Definitely.
But yeah, no, it's just it was a really shitty time for a lot of people, obviously, but it was also brought light. It brought light to a lot of good things and terrible things that needed the light shed on it, to say the least.
Definitely.
And
Yeah, I think
I think,
for a lot of people was a really good point of self reflection. You have so much alone time, at least
yep,
like a little, like at least you have a lot of like inside time.
yep,
And so I think it gave a lot of people the opportunity to think about where they're at, where they want to be, who they are, how they want to be
hmm,
perceived, those types of things. And I think at the end of the day,
of
that's
course.
really, really great too.
Yeah, no, and I think I've mentioned this a little bit here and there, but when I get really bad thoughts, I would write haikus, right? And so that
Yes,
would just be, me by myself writing haikus, right? And how my house worked was that my mom would stay upstairs, my dad would stay downstairs in the basement, and then I'm just in that middle floor. So just again, and kind of in a world alone by myself a little bit, and also it showed me the
definitely.
importance of interacting with people, but also giving yourself your time that you need, right? So. I
Definitely.
definitely
What's really
resonate with
funny is
that.
I had a meeting this morning right before this, and we were
Hmm.
talking about the mindset GMM and mentioned the haiku example. She was like, "Yeah, when
Oh,
you were like proposing and suggestions and whatever, and someone gave you the suggestion of writing haikus." And I was like, Nick. That's
Yeah.
Nick.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's actually so funny.
Yeah. Well, I'm flattered. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
keep
No,
it
I write
going.
haikus. Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. I write haikus, and I also like every time I have a fortune cookie, I always keep the fortune no matter what it says. Just always
That's
reflect on it
amazing.
and see if
Oh,
it
that's awesome.
ever like relates back, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, I love it.
yeah, I thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate the question. I'm glad that it's not more. I try my best. I try my best to not make it feel like you're getting being interrogated or anything like that, right? Only mildly, right? So,
Yeah.
um, you know, of course, we've talked about involvement and hesitation and everything like that. But what would you say to people that are maybe not hesitant, but are just looking for that involvement? Maybe that be on campus, or maybe that just be in their life. Is there something that you kind of did to yourself? Did you like sit down and have a pep talk with yourself? Like, how would you, if you had the
Yeah.
opportunity, what would you tell someone if they're looking to be involved and just kind of don't know where to start?
Yeah. I would say I'm gonna attest this with an example or something that
Of
actually
course.
happened. Um, so it doesn't really matter how or who, the details don't really matter. Basically, I was talking with this freshman and this last semester in the fall, and
Hmm.
she was worried because an involvement that she was trying to engage with wasn't working out in the way that she wanted, and it was really sad. She was really upset because with COVID especially, like, you're so disconnected. She's a freshman on campus. It was just really hard for her to meet friends, especially if like your roommate doesn't work out. That's all you got, right?
Yep.
And so she was really distressed. She was like, I don't know, I want to be at college, like that's why I'm here. I want to meet friends, I want to have a great time, I want to do school, but I also want a social life. And this one thing that she was really betting on was falling through, and yeah, you just see her hope
Yep.
kind of dwindling. And something that, it's not a concrete like step by step thing. I think that's kind of hard to, I will give like things that I suggest, but the advice I gave to her was, I am not friends with the people I was friends with my freshman year. They're acquaintances, don't get me wrong, and I really enjoy them and they're great people.
Mm.
Just not
Mm.
who I define as my friends today. Every single year, your friends can change. Every single day, you can meet new people in any capacity, and that can be your next best friend. And
Mm.
thinking larger than just that moment is so hard, and it seems so easy when I'm just saying it, but you just have to think so much bigger than that moment. Just know that, like, you know tomorrow when you go get dinner, you might accidentally bump into someone and laugh about it. Like, it could be the smallest of interactions, and you become best friends,
Right.
the smallest of things. um and I think that helped her because now she's actually an SLP. She took that recommendation, which is something I'll give, is join orgs, and she joined SLP. She actually ended up going a different route to get involved in the original thing that was kind of not working out for her.
Right.
She has some
Right.
great friends. I remember I was sitting at the union, and like she was sat at a table next to me, and we were chatting, and within 5 minutes she was getting a phone call from a friend and was like, oh, I have to go, I'm gonna go meet them. And I was like, perfect. You have a social life, you have people that you care about and that care about you, and that happened in 2 weeks.
Right.
You just had to think bigger than yourself in that moment. um in terms of like actual things to do, I think something first and foremost is your friends and relationships in general are going to be reflective of where you're at.
Mm.
The most compatible relationships you'll ever have are when you know who you are. Friendships and relationships aren't going to work out in the best of ways if you're not being your true authentic self, right?
Correct.
If you're trying to be friends with someone and you're like pretending to be someone else, they're not liking you, they're liking what you're putting out there. And so I
Hmm.
think first and foremost, being okay being alone is a great first step. Just take yourself out for coffee, or like get a coffee and go sit outside and get outside, enjoy just some alone time and just your thoughts. Don't go on your phone. Like, I know it's really hard, like when you think you have to just keep go, but just being okay being alone and being alone with your own thoughts, I think, is really key. We had to do it with COVID, so I think we had this one up in a way. But and then in the next couple of years, like, just being okay being alone and knowing who you are and knowing your self-worth, which is really hard, but we'll get there. The second thing I would say is just occupy spaces. Like, try different places all the time. Like, I remember you can meet someone at a coffee shop. Like it seems so not real, but it actually happens sometimes. Take your headphones out, just like sit there and read a book, or smallest of things. Like sit next to someone post COVID, be like, oh, is someone sitting there, and sit at a table with someone. Like the smallest of things.
Right.
Who knows what could happen. So occupying different spaces. And with that, I would say like talk to people in your classes. That's super easy. It's harder in some classes, but like study groups are such a good excuse. One of my best friends I actually met through comp sci, which is a STEM class. Like you feel like that's not the vibe for friends. He's one of my really good
Right.
friends. Like we're friends to this day because of that. And of course, student orgs. I feel like social student orgs like SLP, where you're still learning content, is great. You have a purpose to be there other than social. So like you can still learn something and take away from it and grow as a person as well. And you're surrounding yourself with people that also are invested in learning and growing, which is really cool too.
For sure.
Um, yeah. So be alone, be okay being alone, occupy different spaces, and like take the initiative to like meet people on campus, like in classes and orgs and things. But also know that like if you're sad now, you don't have any friends, like think bigger than yourself. And think 2 weeks time, I could have a great group of friends. And
Right.
that's really hard. I will say it's really hard. Lots of
Oh
tears
yeah.
will come, but that's okay.
Yep. I know. I definitely agree and resonate with you. I think you put it very well that you need to have that space for yourself to be able to give to yourself, but also, as you say, fill spaces. It's okay to go into other spaces too, right? There's, you know, depending on, maybe your opinions or maybe your views or anything like that, you might feel that you might not be welcomed in certain places, but the only thing that's really stopping you is you, right?
Yep. Yep.
And
Totally.
so,
I think that's totally it. Like you have to really, and as introverts, we know this. Like it's hard.
oh
It's
yeah,
hard. It's hard to go to things alone. Like I would never. I'm not even going to take my own advice. But if you do, you'll probably walk away thinking like, oh, that was I am so glad I did that. And if you don't go, you won't know. You won't know.
for sure. Yep. No, I agree with you. During the summer after my freshman year, I spent a lot of time at my parents' house. It's what I just got moved out of the dorms, went back home, and they live in Madison, and they live right on Monroe Street where there's a Collectivo, and so I would go up there, get some tea, and then go to the park and just relax, right? And I don't, hopefully people don't take this too weird, but I'm a very big people watcher. Just watching people, go about their normal days, maybe walking their dogs. Yeah, I don't know, it's just so interesting, and also, the best feeling
It's a
too,
vibe.
and I can't wait to because I'll be going back to Little Rock in May, which will, for the first time in 2.5 years. So that'll be really exciting. But I'm flying and I love to fly because you get to just sit and watch people, as you're waiting to board and all that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's so
but
true.
it's just those little times and spaces where you kind of, if I'm sitting in an airport, I can realize, okay, I'm by myself. But then when you take yourself out of it, you're not by yourself, right? It's just finding that nice balance and kind
That's
of
right.
mindset a little bit, right? Just changing a little bit when it's time to be by yourself and when it's okay to
Yeah.
go out a little bit. So, and also,
That's a really good
you,
perspective. I like that.
yeah, for sure. And especially on airplane too, post COVID, most likely you're going to touch elbows with something and it's going to be someone with someone and it's going to be awkward,
Yeah.
but you're going to do it. Yeah. So it's going to
I
happen.
love it.
Yeah, no. No, I think that is great advice, Callie. Thank you for sharing that. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
getting towards the end a little bit, we still have a couple more questions, but right now, just want to check in with you. Are there any questions that you have for me, or anything you want to discuss right now? Anything that comes to mind? Not trying to put you on the spot, but if anything comes to mind.
I don't know. I feel like I'm the type of person that will just ask someone that come to mind.
Yep.
Um, what is your other than your podcast, what is something um what is one of your favorite hobbies?
Favorite hobbies. So
Other than working out
as
too. That doesn't
okay, fine. You got me there. Um,
count.
yeah,
Gotcha
yeah.
there.
Everyone SLP knows I work out and play video games, so that's obviously out. And now also everyone knows
Mm,
I play the flute and also do the podcast. So my whole life is just out there, but I still
You
got
play
some
the
stuff.
flute?
Yeah, they did a whole article on it for SLP.
Oh
Yeah,
my god!
it's
Oh
like
my gosh.
it's
Okay,
like
I haven't read that
right
one
over
yet.
there.
That's
Yeah,
so 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 cool. That's
yeah, no,
amazing. I love that.
yeah, no, it's like right under the Freddie Mercury poster, like right there for
Oh,
video
nice.
listeners. So it's like right under
That's
there.
so cool. I love
Yep,
that.
yep. No, I
That's
played the
awesome.
flute ever since fifth grade, so it's a good time. Wish I stuck with it a lot more, but I'm proud. I'm proud of what I was able to do.
I,
You know, perform in front of people. I think that's where I first learned how to be an extrovert in a situation, if that makes sense. Because I was like, you're in
yes,
front of,
yes, you can mask really well. I mask.
yeah,
Yep.
yep, you're in
I
front of
love that.
hundreds of people. You're playing a piece. You better play it right, and you better enjoy it because
Yeah.
it's happening.
Totally.
So
That's so
yeah,
true.
yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know
Uh,
that. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So
Good to
that
know.
I wouldn't say that's a current hobby. That's just something that I like to do. If
Yeah.
it's like today, I'll play it. Usually I don't play it as much because I'm in an apartment. I'm not trying to bother people and anything like that because it can be loud. So what I'm trying to get to is I do one of the biggest hobbies that I do, and very rarely, but I do it, is go fishing. You know,
Mm, nice.
everyone when they look at me, they're like, oh, from Atlanta, so maybe he's a city boy, but he could have a little country in him. But
Uh,
so yeah,
nice.
so hunting
That's
and all that
awesome.
stuff never really got me, but fishing was always what got me, and it was the time I can spend with my dad. We don't kill anything or anything like that, so it's just, and you're in nature, you're bushwhacking, you're just going through the motions, and you're by yourself most likely. So it's a really nice time.
That's awesome.
So I don't do it
I
as
never
much,
really
but
fishing. It sounds relaxing.
oh no, it is a good time, and you have your all different kinds of fishing, right? So you got your spinning rod out of the boat. You have your fly fishing where it looks really, like really, really. The way I like to say is just poetic. It looks very artistic, right? And those are like the best moments I would say. But there's so many different ways. But it's also that's just another activity. As you know, I'm a very, very big proponent of people being active and just doing anything to get there,
Yes,
get moving. So a nice little walk. It just helps the day go by. So, but yeah, no, thank you for
definitely.
asking. But I would definitely say fishing, as you know, podcasting, gaming, working out, playing the flute, all that stuff. I have other
You've
little
got some
hobbies,
really good
but
answers.
yeah, thank you, thank you. Yeah, no, I probably do a lot, but yeah. Also, being involved, of course, that's a hobby, right? So, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, any other
That's so
questions,
fun.
any other
I love.
topics you want to discuss? And before we get into the last couple of questions,
Ah, let me think.
of course, take your time.
Oh, okay. What? These are like not like conversation topics, more just you answering because I want to get to know you
Of
more,
course.
Nick. I love these types of things. If you could open a business, what would it be and why? Yeah, of any
If
kind.
I
Like
could
it could be a restaurant, a coffee shop, a gym, a music
yep,
studio, a fusion of the two. Like,
yep.
what's the vibe?
So I would do two. I would do so they'd be separate though. But if I had to choose, I'd do either one or the other. I would do a bakery or a gym. That's what I would do. Bakery
Nick, let's
because
open a bakery together. Let's do it. I would do that.
yeah,
I love
it'd be
that.
awesome. But yeah, no, I'm not as talented in baking as maybe some people might think because I want to open up a bakery, but I just love cooking. I think bakery and making all the desserts, but also the bread and all that stuff, would just be so much fun, and you get to taste everything. So like,
Yes,
why not? Then
that
a
sounds
gym,
amazing. Oh,
yeah, yeah, and then a gym is just
yes, of
like
course.
no shit. Yeah, if you know me, yeah, I would love to open a gym.
We
Just
do
and
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We can check that one off the list. So, but yeah, it'd either be a bakery or
I
a
do.
gym.
I do think something that I see you doing. I don't know if like this is something that you want to do in your life, um, because you're so motivating in so many contexts, and you connect really well with people. And also, you're just skilled at working out in general. I feel like a really great job at some point in your life would be to own a gym. I think you would do a really good job. I think, yeah, I think people would love it. I think that would be awesome.
I'm flattered. Thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, the gym that I go to right now and seeing the the owner and the head coach, Jared, and seeing him work is like, it's, we've talked about this before, right? On our very first interaction with SLP, when we saw the chords, like, I want to do that, right? And I'm going to do
Yes,
that.
yes, yes,
It's
yes.
it's a similar feeling of when I see Jared work and help people. It's like, I want to do that and I can do that, right? So, it's definitely something I've thought of. But, just what I've thought about in the future is, like, of course, I want to do research and all that stuff that you and a lot of people know. But after I do research and retire from that a little bit, I would want to be a history teacher. So, just because I know, right? I
Okay,
know.
Nick, I'm putting our lives together. Okay, ready? Here we go.
Okay. Okay.
So
I'm ready.
we're gonna be teachers at the same school. Are you thinking high
Okay.
school?
Yes, of course.
It does high. Okay,
Yeah.
so you teach history, I teach math. We're gonna be super cool teachers. We're gonna be awesome. And then on the side, while that's happening, we're like going to be developing this like bakery, and then we'll turn it into our full-time job afterwards. And
Yes.
I
Yes.
really want to open a coffee shop, so the bakery will just supply all of the baked goods and pastries for the coffee shop, and then we can do a little tutoring
Yep.
side gig at the coffee shop and bakery to make some money, and then we could take that money and open a gym. So we can work off all of the baked
Yes.
goods that we just consumed.
Of
Ta-da!
course. Of course. And damn well we'd have the parent teacher conferences at the coffee shop
Oh,
every single night.
you know it. You know it. That's so good. I love it. We should just
Yep.
teach class at the coffee shop.
Oh, okay. Sounds good to me.
There
Just
we
get a
go.
bus, get a field trip going every single day.
Yes.
Math and coffee, or math and coffee in the morning, and then history and baked goods in the afternoon. So,
That sounds amazing. Nick, this is our life. Let's do it. Let's take it.
yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
sounds great,
But yeah,
actually.
you know, yeah, it just that would be amazing. And of course, like, I've always wanted to be a teacher of some sorts. And through research, I'll be able to do that a little bit. But after I get done with that, I'd really just want to be that history teacher that impacts people and kind of
Yeah.
not like the, you know, I give hundreds out. I'm not going to be that guy. But, I'll be
Yeah.
the person that has their door open every single time. If you want to come in here and work, totally can. If you want to come in here and talk to me, totally can. But if you also just want to sit here in silence like I do, we totally can, right? So,
I
yeah,
like
that's
love that.
yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's
So
always
cool.
been a bit motivation of mine. And with me getting the history major too, it's going to be help make that more of a realistic thing to happen. So that would be nice. So
That's awesome. That's really good to hear.
thank you. But yeah, that's what the future looks like a little bit. And again, so many correlations, so many things. Beautiful stuff.
I agree.
Beautiful stuff. Getting towards the end of the podcast here, I have about one big final question for you. I've started doing this now, as you may have listened, as people may have heard with Andrew. I asked him a pretty deep question last time, and I got a deep question for you. So I hope you're ready. So the question is, if you could change the golden rule, as in you do unto others as you want done to you, right? If you could change the golden rule, what would you change it to?
Wow. Okay. I would change it to
I know
Okay,
this
I
is a
think
very hard question too, by the way.
it is. And I think I've spoken to this point already a lot, which makes sense. Like my values come across in my conversation. But I would say oh, this is really hard. Like I know what I
Yes,
want it to encompass, but I can't put it into words, and so I need to think the words.
of course.
Um
Take your time. No rush.
okay. I don't think this is exactly how I want to word it, but the vibes are there.
It's a
Um
rough draft. It's a rough draft.
yeah. The back to me in a couple weeks.
Yes, of course.
Know your self-worth and radiate that with others.
Nice.
Yeah.
Trademark it.
Yep, right
Publish it.
there. Yep, Callie Hughes.
Boom.
Those are
Boom.
my words.
Boom.
Boom.
Done. Easy. Love it. Well, yeah, no, again, it's just that question came to mind because I was like, I know we're going to talk a lot about involvement, and I know that we're also going to talk a lot about our values and everything like that. And I think the golden rule is, again, a very big value that a lot of people hold. And so
Yep.
I think just, putting your little spin on it and actually just totally, not erasing it, but just recreating it, right? And
Yes.
what you think is important. And I think it says a lot about what you find important in your life and what, others might find important, so.
Definitely. Yeah. I said this earlier, but I really think in order to help others, you have to help yourself first.
Yes, I am also a very big proponent is that if you can't help yourself and if you can't learn to help yourself, how the hell can you help others? How can you
Exactly.
learn to help others? Because you're just
Exactly.
going to do a shit job for them if you're doing a shit job for yourself.
Yeah, that's
So,
so true. So you wrote this question down. What was your
yep.
golden rule?
Oh God. Well, I knew you were going to ask this, and I knew I was like,
Ah,
I knew you were going to turn it around. But my biggest thing is, I would say, and this is pretty bad wording, but just if you know yourself, you can believe in yourself and you can rely on yourself.
I love that.
Because,
That's not bad wording at all. That's great.
yeah, thank you, thank you. It's not as poetic as "do unto others as you want done to you." The golden rule got that trademark down.
Yeah.
But no, that's just always been something big, and I think it's something I had to give a. So at my high school, every senior has to give a talk in chapel. My high school is very religious, so we had a chapel every day. But every senior had to give a chapel talk basically, and that was their speaking requirement done for graduation. And in my chapel talk, as maybe some people know and may have heard it or anything like that, but I was very, very. My main message is that if you know yourself and if you can, and if you believe in yourself, you can always fall back on that. That is like your ground
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah.
Of course, you're gonna have people that are around you that
Definitely.
support you and love you and appreciate you, but in that really, really
But
dark
what are they
fucking
going to support?
time, yeah, and
Yeah.
in that really dark fucking time when they don't see it anymore. Not saying they push you away or anything like that, but like you
Right.
said, how do you support something when you don't see it, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty hard to do that. And so when that dark time happens and you're able to fall down, but who's gonna pick you up? Yourself, right? So that
Yeah. I
was
love
my
that.
big message in that, and just knowing yourself, being able to pick yourself up. So that is where that stems from.
Yeah. I really like those words. So
Thank you.
that's great.
I appreciate it. So wrapping up a little bit, any final words that you want to share with the people, Callie? Anything that you want to end up the podcast a little bit? Anything that final messages, basically? Anything you want to tell the people?
I'm still craving pineapples.
Yes.
Even an hour and 15 later, still thinking about them.
Yep.
I will be going to buy some. No, I think honestly, this conversation has given me a really great appreciation, and I think this conversation has really made me think about like the importance of self worth and the importance of connections with people. Um,
Mm.
like you, Nick. Like we met so many times and met up so many times, but actually like sitting down to talk with people unfiltered, like I think is such a great thing. Um, yeah, and I think you don't get it enough. And so just connecting with people, even though it sometimes is hard, like we've talked about. So
Of course.
yeah.
No, I definitely agree with you, and I think that's really well put. I'm sorry that you got excited and saw the high school teacher, so hopefully you'll be able to go meet up with them and hopefully have a great conversation with them. And but yeah, no, I think you put it very well, and I agree with you. It's been a great time talking with you and discussing topics and values and getting to know each other a lot more. Because as you said, we've interacted so much, honestly, that you think, wow, they should know each other pretty well. And I'm not saying we don't,
Yeah,
but it's just that deeper
it's just different.
understanding. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So that would do it for the episode. Thank you everybody for listening. We really do appreciate your service and everything that you guys, supporting the podcast and showing up and giving reviews and all that jazz. So really do appreciate it. But everyone, please take care of yourself, and peace and love, everybody.